Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Spawn Trap podcast, the podcast that you can only listen to on invincibility mode. I am Til Plays, and I'm joined by Court FTW. Where am I pointing?
Hello.
Right here.
Yeah, there I am.
And we're only a two-person podcast today, because a lot of stuff happened in the news, and really wanted to talk about it. The big thing that happened, I think, since the last episode was the Switch OLED model that came out, and we of the group here, I think we're the only Nintendo people, the only Nintendo players.
Yeah,
So I'm
this
like,
is true.
as long as we're both available, because nobody else was available, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But as long as we were both available, I think I felt like I wanted to talk about it. So what the Switch is and the differences with it, and what our opinions and thoughts are on it. Because it's not a Switch
yeah.
Pro, unfortunately, like
No,
everybody was thinking it was going to be.
because of that leak or something or another, and everyone's
Well,
like,
I
"Oh my
think it
god, they're gonna
was. I think it was a new. So it was a news site. It was like, I think it was Bloomberg that reported on it initially, and they were saying like Nintendo's getting these. I think they were Samsung OLED screens. There's a paper trail to that saying like, okay, that's true, and that's what people thought. Oh, Nintendo's actually working on a new device,
grow."
because like it seems like every month or so, it's like there's rumors of a Switch Pro, and everybody's like, yeah, there's always rumors of a Switch Pro.
It's been like a 2 year.
Yeah.
Like I think I've been in an industry of gaming and stuff like, or like the gaming industry officially, and it's like yeah,
Hmm.
2 years of people asking about the Pro, and I'm like, it's just a rumor.
Yeah. And that's how I've always viewed it too. I've never really looked into that. But with this, there was, here's evidence that they're actually getting these screens, and they're ordering so many, and they're clearly working on something.
Yeah,
And I think just speculation came from there of what that could mean, and like what people's hopes were, and that eventually
yeah,
led to a snowball of, this is going to be a Switch Pro. This is going to be a 4K model. This is gonna, have better performance and all this other stuff. So I think that's the reason why we didn't see any sort of announcement for this at E3,
yeah,
because I'm of the belief that Nintendo would have announced this during E3. I think this was their big E3 reveal. But
would have
because,
been, yeah.
yeah, because they were aware of what people's expectations were on this device, they didn't want to have that sort of opinion and everything coming out of E3
And to
when,
come up with something that's not really the Pro,
yeah,
and
exactly.
then people be like, "Wait a minute,"
And
But yeah, you can't win them all either. Because even when they first announced the Switch, I remember hearing a lot of like negativity about it, and now it's one of the best selling consoles.
yeah, and I'm gonna get into that after, like showing all the specs and price and everything on the Switch. But yeah, that's gonna come up. But I think like Nintendo had a lot to show off at E3. They had Metroid, they had Zelda, they had like the Mario Party stuff, and there's a lot of games and stuff. And to like end that with, here's the new console that is nothing like what you were expecting. Um, that that would have pushed the conversation away from all those games.
Yeah,
So it made sense for them to delay that announcement until later, saying like, we do have a surprise announcement, but you know, after you've let the E3 hype settle in, now we're gonna tell you about this new hardware.
yeah.
Um,
Plus, I feel like E3 is a lot about the games, like to showcase new games that are coming out and stuff, to give them the spotlight.
yeah, exactly.
So
But E3 has always traditionally been too, um, showcasing new hardware or announcing new hardware. Like the other hardware manufacturers have done it. Um, so like, it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that Nintendo was going to showcase this, and I think they were definitely going to.
yeah,
But this is the new OLED model. I'm sure by now you've seen it or seen trailers or videos of it. Um, but essentially, I think this thing is pretty much just slight upgrades to the current Switch, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think
Yeah.
what a lot of people wanted for the handheld players of this thing, they wanted the bigger screen, and they have the bigger screen.
Which,
And
but by like point 0.8 though. I feel like I would have to actually physically have it in my hand to really see how big the screen is.
but
Because
I think it makes a difference though, because like, well, I should actually turn something on for my screen. uh,
yeah.
but like, if I'm looking at this thing, um, these huge bezels. Where's my finger? These huge bezels, I think, just stand out. Especially when I have a phone that's basically bezel-less and it's curved. It wraps around my like the screen wraps around.
Oh,
Um,
it is bezel like when it's like it seems infinite
no, these like
type feel?
these thick borders around.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So it's like
Like,
the screen's not going to the edge, right?
yeah,
Just when you're used to having all those devices, it's like, well, especially like tablets and stuff now. Like you look at this and you're like, the screen could be bigger. This body could be the same shape, but the screen could be just a little bit bigger. And if you're playing handheld and it's closer to your eyes, I think
yeah.
that little bit kind of makes a difference.
I'm like looking at my Switch now
Yeah,
too. I'm like,
because essentially
yeah,
it's the same. I think the specs show that it's a little bit wider, like just a little bit, but essentially it's the same shape, but the screen, it fills out more of the body, so it actually goes closer to the edge of the device.
yeah. I also find too like and it's to me it's really I if I were to buy this, I wouldn't trade in my Switch for it
Really?
because my Switch is the OG. It's worth a lot more than this Switch, and because
Yeah.
it's moddable and everything, so it's literally it's worth quite a bit of money. Because it was like the first wave of Switches.
Is it still
But
moddable if you have it updated though?
uh, it's you'd have to look into the specifics of it because I know because people will literally look for certain serial numbers.
Okay.
Because even if it's upgraded, there is a way to jerry rig it to get the mods and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I like for me, I'm like my Switch has never failed me, knock on wood, and and it's like the OG one. So I think if I were to buy this one, I would just buy it like just to have as like instead of it getting a Switch Lite, ironically
Right,
enough, because
right.
I find too like as like a handheld device, when I play games like Fire Emblem, I'm like so glad that there's voice acting in it because the text in like the game on the Switch is so small. That's why I play a lot of it on my monitors
Hmm.
and like on my TV is because like the text is so tiny on it that even like handheld I'm like what are they saying? Like just listening for it and stuff. And then even there was another game I was playing recently. I think it might have been Skyward Sword, where like handheld and just yeah, like the text was like so small on it, and I was like, how do people like sit there and actually play this and read the text
Yeah.
without like on such a tiny screen? So I feel like I would specifically get this as like my portable device for gaming and everything. So
Instead of the Switch Lite.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because then the Switch
Yeah,
Lite's even smaller. Oh my god, I'd be like, I can't see.
that's that's kind of the opinion I saw some other people online saying, like, it's weird that Nintendo released a Switch Lite model saying, like, this is for the handheld players. You're not playing on console or whatever.
Yeah.
Then they released this model that seems more like for those players.
Yeah, but I
Because
also find too the Switch Lite was almost geared toward the kids
yeah.
because the thing
Mhm.
is that I find with like the Switch in general, like when parents would buy the Switch, I know for a fact it's like you better get like any sort of protection or like screen protector or grips on this if you're giving it to your kid
This
because it is a console
uh,
that they are holding.
Well, the screen protector I would agree with, because I've heard arguments both ways. The screen
Yeah,
protector I would agree with mostly
yeah.
because the dock is
The
not.
scratches it anyway.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah,
scratch it up. So I've seen that, and I got a screen protector right away for my
100%.
Switch.
Yeah.
But the other thing, the screen is made of plastic, so it doesn't shatter. It scratches up, but it doesn't shatter. So that you get the screen protector, you're good. And
I
then the casing for it, no matter, like, if you don't have a case on your Switch, if you have the Joy-Con attached, there's no way that this drops where I think you're going to see significant damage to primarily the screen, because if it lands flat, you have your sticks that it
Yeah.
lands on. To the sides, you have your Joy-Con and everything. And again, it's not a glass screen, so you don't have to worry about it shattering. So
I have seen
I can
many
imagine.
I
I can
like
imagine. Yeah.
like and they're always specifically kids
Yeah.
that like, and the big thing, and even with our first set of Joy-Cons, me as an adult, I remember my boyfriend Zarango, like he dropped our Switch,
Mhm.
and the screen was fine, everything like that, but then the one Joy-Con button stopped working,
Yeah.
and and but I've seen some crazy stuff on the
I
Switches that I'm like, and that's why I feel like with kids with the Switch Lite, it was more like, instead of giving them a whole console, to like, whoa,
Mhm.
like give them
Yeah.
something little that's worth a little bit less. Because if they're like, because my thing too is like, it's a console, like I kind of keep it around, but then it's just convenient to be able to move around. But
Yeah, the
kids just
same
like to,
way I use it. Yeah.
yeah, kids just like to take it,
Take
and
it.
like,
Yeah.
because it's like a 3DS, and
Mhm.
that stuff, like that was like, again, kind of geared toward the younger generation. But that's why I feel like the Lite was kind of in that way geared toward it, like to
Mhm.
not be spending so much money on a console, but to have something very close to it that still works with a lot of the games,
Yeah.
and then your kid can literally just whatever,
No,
like do whatever you want with
I
it.
agree 100%. That it was definitely
Yeah.
made for kids, and I think you and I played the Switch the same way, where it's mostly docked, but
Yeah.
it's nice and convenient to take it with you.
Yeah, when you go to a friend's house, and like I got third wheeled the other day because my two friends were playing Smash, and I clearly wasn't invited to join them. Like, and I'm glad I had my Switch there to play some
Yeah.
Zelda. And I was like, it's all right, guys. I'll sit on the floor and play this game.
Yeah.
But
But you
yeah.
mentioning that did bring up an experience. My cousin actually, her kids were she just bought the Animal Crossing Switch. Her kids, her one kid I guess was hooked on Fortnite, and I kept
Oh
telling her,
no.
I'm like, you have the iPad, just get Fortnite. At the time, Epic didn't try to say, hey, fuck you, Apple, and then
Yeah.
and because at the time it was on iPad, so I'm like, just get Fortnite on your iPad, sync a PlayStation controller, same thing. Because she's like, I never get to play my Switch. I'm like, just give him the iPad. But
Yeah.
but he was using her Switch, and I think he was playing handheld or whatever. And
Oh
I think
no.
maybe like the headphones were plugged in, and he went up to like do something, and it yanked the Switch, and it fell hard on the ground, and her Joy-Con were like smashed to pieces.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's like a hardcore gamer. She's like calling me in tears. She's like, what do I do? I'm like,
Don't give it to kids.
I,
Like,
I'm like, it's fine. Show me pictures of the Joy-Con. I'll see if I can fix them. I was able to
yeah.
fix it for her.
Oh good.
But it was funny. So so yeah, this is definitely, so the Switch is not kid proof. But the
No.
Switch Lite is definitely built better for kids. But
Yeah.
I think the Switch OLED is definitely, so they're marketing it as, the better version of the Switch. So it's got the better screen.
Yeah.
Battery
A
life
better
isn't,
stand, I see. A better
yeah,
stand.
better kickstand, because I think that's the number one criticism is the kickstand
Yeah,
on the
it literally yesterday, Martin was trying to kick up his Switch, and it kept just falling over, and he's
yeah.
like, ah, and I'm like,
Mine's
yeah, it's not
always,
the most like
I don't use my
strict.
kickstand that much, but mine's like always been sturdy, so I've never had a problem with
Yeah,
that.
same. I feel like because he just doesn't know to put it on level, like flooring,
But
or like a
it does
surface.
lean over. Yeah, if you like just like tip it on its side a little bit, it'll fall over. Like it's not a great stand. Um
Yeah.
so
It's flimsy. I feel like it's one of those things that break off. Like I like seeing them come back to us.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, the kickstand's gone, huh? Okay, cool. Like,
And I see people making the argument like this is a better home console than the Switch. I don't think it makes any difference at all, because the only thing that they're including, like maybe the better ventilation, because it looks like they changed the ventilation inside, but
yeah.
the and better cable organizing for the cutout for where the
And
cable's
the
going.
LAN port,
But yeah,
which is
that's what I was bringing up is the LAN port.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like the LAN port, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I know a lot of people would play like hardcore online saying like, yeah, there's a lot of lag and stuff like that. I don't think that's like I never really had an issue playing my Switch online over
This
Wi-Fi.
yeah, this cuts out buying the attachment for it
Exactly,
and then using up that USB port.
but
Um,
but here's the thing though, it replaces the USB port. So like if you wanted to just do everything Wi-Fi, like you don't have a problem with the USB port. Like for
yeah.
me, like there has been points where I'm using all three USB ports. So like it's not that often. It's not a big deal, and I'm sure you can use a hub, but
Like, wait a
but
minute.
yeah, but like there's been um like a USB controller or whatever. I've had like that 8-bit do USB adapter, so I can like sync up like a PlayStation controller and stuff.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll use the other port to like charge something or whatever. But that just that removes the option. I find like you can, if you have the adapter, like you can use that as your LAN connector. But if you don't want the LAN connector, you have an extra USB port. So this kind of removes the
Yeah.
option because you can't go from Ethernet to USB. Like you can go USB to Ethernet, but you can't go Ethernet to USB.
Yeah. I think like just getting the extra attachment too is a little bit hard to come by, and I almost feel like this decision was made with like
I don't think it is
maybe the
though,
Smash players in
because
mind.
because
Maybe the Smash
like you're
players.
looking at the officially like licensed adapters, right? Here's the thing though, you can use any adapter, and
Yeah.
I think that they might have changed this, but at the time I was like reviewing up like what the advantage, like what kind of adapter you should get and everything for the Ethernet
Mhm.
port on the Switch. That was a USB 3.0, or it's intended to be a USB 3.0 port inside. But it was always acting as a USB 2.0 port with the intention to update it to 3.0 later,
Yeah.
which Nintendo never did. They might have done it now. I haven't been keeping up to date with it, but um,
Yeah.
so you can use like you can get a cheap 2.0 adapter, or like honestly the 3.0 adapters aren't much more than the 2.0 adapters. They're very
Yeah.
cheap. You don't need the officially licensed one, and everyone makes them. Like they're not really
Yeah.
hard to come by. um so yeah, I don't think this is like this is a pro addition to the Switch OLED.
Yeah.
um what I do like though is the look of the dock.
Maybe it'll help with the connection. But yes,
Yeah.
the look of the dog. The look of the, it's nice. And
uh
it like so this is a little bit bigger of a switch too, right?
just a little bit, yeah, a little bit
Yeah.
longer I think, but like the height I think is the same. I think like some cases that you have, the size is probably not even going to make a difference. But like some things that are like really tight fit, if you're upgrading to this model, you might have to look at new cases. Um,
Yes.
but
I think so. And then they doubled the internal storage.
which
How
is
nice.
great. Yeah. I'm always using. I have a 400 gigabyte SD card
Oh,
in
I have
my
a
Switch, so it's
128. I think I have a 128. I don't remember. I bought it a
yeah.
while ago when I was downloading when I first got my first digital game, which was Animal Crossing, because I didn't feel like going to the mall that day to pick up my copy. So,
I will say if you're using your Switch as your primary console and you just get a lot of games, you can
yep.
fill a 400 gigabyte.
Oh my God, Till.
I'm looking at the 1 terabytes now. I
No.
don't know.
Right.
I'm just deleting stuff I don't need. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's got better. It has enhanced audio, which they've never explained. So I don't know what that means until I actually see and hear it. Um,
Yeah, cause I don't know, mine like my audio is fine on that's like my thing too. Like I have the OG, and I feel like there was like maybe the next batch that had come out wasn't the greatest or something,
mhm.
but it was very like I don't know, like my fans fine, my speakers. I'm gonna knock on wood, just think, like I don't want to be saying all this and then it suddenly like craps out on me.
My-
But it's like I've never had any sort of issues with the stereo, and then again, it's like part of me's like I don't I don't know, anything with audio, if you're not using headphones already, like it's I don't know, I don't find a use for it, you
I mean,
know?
I use the speakers on the Switch. They sound fine.
Yeah.
Like
Right?
I don't know how like
Are we gonna get some bass in there? Is that what they
maybe
mean?
maybe
We're
I
like
don't
holding
know.
it's like vibrating because it's like you like Metroid Dread with the bass.
These Joy-Con here, I can gladly say that I already have. So I already own them.
Right? You're like,
Um,
but I'm hoping that again, because there are like these like little upgrades here and there, and that they already kind of did a little upgrade with the Skyward Sword Joy-Cons, that they have something for these ones that will prevent the drift from happening. But I feel like nowadays drift is just literally the most common thing.
Here's the thing. This is my second Xbox Elite controller.
Well, it's
Th-
an Elite controller.
This what's an Elite controller? It's their Pro controller. It's got the grips on the back. This is the
Yeah.
Series One, so it's got grips on the back. It's got interchangeable sticks, like magnetic, so you can have like longer sticks or whatever. It's got the D-pad. You can detach here.
Yeah.
You can set two profiles. It's got the back triggers, which I have removed, but like you can put these little triggers. They magnetically snap on the side.
And this is your
And
second one?
this is my second one. Um, it's got the hair triggers too, so you can just like you don't have to do a long press. This thing has drift. My last one had drift.
Yep. Yeah.
Sucks.
I
These things are.
I
I will say
They're
like
not cheap.
it's easier to fix the drift on. I know a lot of people saying like the Joy-Con drift is such a problem on the Switch. I get it. It's
Yeah.
I think two of my Joy-Con have started to get drift. And then I got like a used pair of Joy-Con that definitely had switch or drift. I will say much easier to repair and fix the drift on a Joy-Con than an Xbox controller. In my
Interesting.
experience. I just don't think it's as big of an issue on Xbox controllers because none of my other controllers, just the Elite ones, which is ironic, just the Elite ones, I've had drift issues. None of the other
I'm not
controllers
surprised.
I've had. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Like, what was it? Without giving too much away, like it says something when a company will no longer cover like a controller, where they're like, we don't offer coverage on this any longer. I feel like says something about like just the amount of what they're getting back and stuff like that. Even with the Series 2, which was supposed to be better, right? And even then they're like, nope, we're not covering it. No thanks. Not dealing with that.
I think they still make the series too.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, the Joy-Cons, yes.
Yep. So this is the Switch OLED, and you were explaining like the reason why you would upgrade. For me, I was so close. I'm like, okay, it looks like a better Switch. I think I'm gonna upgrade. And I looked at it, and so it's a higher price point.
Like by
With
$50, which isn't
yeah,
like,
and a lot of people are complaining about that.
but
I have an answer to it. But I think the thing is, like, I was looking at it, I'm like, I don't need the built-in LAN port. The screen is nice. How often do I use handheld mode though?
yeah.
The battery life is I'm using the OG Switch, so the battery life is the thing. It's not. It doesn't have improved battery life over the current Switch model.
Yeah, and
Um,
it wasn't because I remember asking about the battery life, and it's not. They just upgraded the processor in the console that just like used less battery, and that's how they were able to improve the battery life. I don't think it was any sort of like
but
battery
I don't
upgrade.
think I don't think the battery is more or less
Any diff- yeah,
because the screen, like the OLED screen, also like affects the battery too. So
yeah,
I think from what I've seen, the battery is the same, but it's still better than the OG Switch. So like I've never made the upgrade to the second iteration of the original Switch.
yeah. So that
Um,
you're kind of like, is now the time that I do the upgrade,
yeah.
right?
And the only other thing like I have an issue with my Switch is the grill at the top where the heat goes out. It is cracked, but it's not like functionally it's fine though. Like it's
Yeah.
just those little thin little grates. They do crack if they overheat after a while, but it doesn't affect the integrity of the casing, so it's not really that big of a deal for me. And everything else like works fine on my Switch. So like really, there's no reason for me to upgrade. The battery life's never been an issue on my Switch because I never like take it out and use it long enough for the battery to be drained, and I always have like a
Yeah,
charger
same.
or
It
whatever.
just stays there.
Yeah, so I'm like, you know what, this isn't really for me. Um, but I can understand the decision, and I can understand people wanting to upgrade or not wanting to upgrade.
And
Um,
there is a red and blue option as well. So
yes,
if you
yeah,
don't, yeah, if you don't,
not
you
like the
can
white.
basically get almost the exact same like
Hmm.
previous Switch, but instead of the white one, you can get the red and blue one as well.
I think the current Switch model will be discontinued. This is going to be the new normal Switch, the
Yeah,
OLED model. And they have it marked up at the price point now, because they can. They should have. I think they're realizing how popular this thing is and how much more they could have sold it for. That they're
yeah,
using this as an excuse, saying like, okay, well, here's the price we want it at. We're gonna phase out the other one,
yeah,
and if there is, I don't think demand's gonna stop anytime soon. I think Nintendo knows that they're gonna ride this out. So I don't
yeah.
expect there to be any sales on this when the original one gets discontinued. Maybe they'll do like a clearance price or whatever on the original one to get rid of like stock or anything.
Yeah.
But this new one, if it was to go on sale, I imagine it will go on sale for the same price as the current one that's available. I don't think
Yeah.
that's going to happen because they're still
Probably not. The
they're,
Switch, the Nintendo's not known for dropping in price
they
because
did
even
they did
like
for the
very briefly.
3DS. They did
Well, when like
when it
during like
first came out and nobody was buying it.
yeah. Or like, but the thing, and that's why like I don't feel don't think they'll really go down in price with this one because they're still like on the up and up and up with
Hmm.
the sales and stuff. Now, mind you, there's a really good chance that there's going to be a shortage in Switches
Oh yeah, yeah.
around
There's
Christmas time, but then that's when like they'll be like, but then there's this new one.
I mean, there's a shortage for it. Well, I think Switch is the only thing
Right.
that you can buy right now. Like the other two consoles are just like always out of stock. And I think this
Yeah,
one,
because of
like,
that chip thing.
yeah, and I think the Switch is sort of in the similar situation, but they're still more available.
I bet it's easier for them to make Switches than to make those big giant consoles.
I
And I
don't.
think
Yeah,
that's
there's got
where
to
they
be
were like, we were
something.
able to make more a lot faster.
Yeah, something in regards to like whatever components they use, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't expect there to be any slowdown of sales for the Switch, so I don't expect there to be any changes in the price. This is what the price is going to be for the new Switch. The old one's going to go away. It's going to be this and the Switch Lite, which is funny because a lot of people see this as competing with the Switch Lite because it is the better handheld. It's got the better
Yeah.
screen. It functionally you can do more with it. So
For adults.
yeah, it's really the adult or family version of the Switch, and then there's the kids version.
Yeah.
So, but right after Nintendo announced that, Valve said, "Okay, we're gonna make a Switch Pro."
Yeah, Valve's like, well,
So
which
this,
I think looks super cool.
yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, I looked at it and
Is
I
it
said,
Sega? So the old Sega handheld.
I saw it and I said, this thing looks super uncomfortable.
Yeah, for the grip wise and stuff.
Yeah, I
And then
mean,
the
I didn't see
like
the back, and then they showed the back, and I'm like, all right, the back looks like not bad. I don't know if they have any pictures of the back. This is IGN we're looking at right now.
yeah.
Um, but in terms of like the front, where
The screen looks small too.
the screen looks
Like
all, but like the Switch is
it's
a
like
small screen too.
yeah. But that's okay, so this is where like like A I like to me I'm like, yeah, it looks cool. Like I feel like it would be a splurge buy of me be like, oh
Oh
my
yeah,
god, LOL
yeah.
now like my computer's in my hand because I do
Hmm.
have a lot of games like on Steam,
Yes.
but I have a PC that I play on primarily. So to me this is like and then I have the Switch, so I'm like, this is like just redundant at this point. But I don't it like the controls look interesting enough. And then again
Yeah.
too with like these really big games like Death Stranding, oh my god, you know how hard and difficult that would be to read the text? And there's so much text in that game too. I'm just like it's like PTSD, like, like I had like not trouble like on like my big TV, but now if they're putting it on like this tiny screen, I can only like unless they
Well,
reformatted the
you
game to
can
make
dock
bigger
this.
text.
Like it is sitting on. I think
Okay.
this is what the dock looks like. But they're saying like the dock isn't available yet, so there's no price point or anything. But you can use any sort of dock, like any third party dock with this. So there are USB-C docks out there that let you hook up a USB peripherals and HDMI output. So you can. There's already docks that are available, and they're not that expensive. I'm sure Valve's is going to make a more expensive official dock, but But yeah, I look at this and I understand the layout and design decisions. I just think it looks weird and it doesn't look like it's going to be naturally comfortable. You might have to like trick your muscle memory to be more comfortable with the controller because
Yeah,
the it's not a traditional controller layout. You don't have the face buttons and then the control sticks in like an offset or like angled position. The buttons and the D-pad are like respectively out to the side, closer to the edge of the device. I'm just thinking about audio
and
listeners.
A's down. This is
Yeah.
where like
Well, no,
uh
you're used to the Switch though, because like the
yeah, I just
Xbox
looked. I'm
A
like,
is
why is
down.
Switch so different? Why did they? Well,
Nintendo's
I'm
the
like,
only one that's using the Japan layout still. Everybody
I
else
just
has moved on.
relearn everything,
But
man.
yeah,
This
so
is
you got
so hard.
the analog sticks are at the top of the device, next to the sides of the screen, and then next to those, towards the edge of the device, is the D-pad on the left and then the face buttons on the right. Which seems super weird. But the reason they did that is because below the thumb pads is a are touch pads. There's two touch pads, one on the left, one on the
Yeah,
right. So you can use it like a touchpad on a laptop or
I,
computer.
which is interesting. I
Yeah,
also find that I don't know if there would be an option to turn those off because I feel like
probably, yeah.
I would just hit them accidentally
Well, I
and
also think like games will be that are optimized for this will take that into consideration, like where appropriate. And
yeah.
Valve has also taken consideration. I haven't looked too much into this. I saw a quick video of it though, but there's capacitive touch on the thumbsticks at the top, so the Steam Deck knows when you're resting your thumb on the thumbstick. So
Interesting.
they could potentially like if you're using the thumbsticks, maybe they can disable the functions on the touchpad or whatever they want to
Which
add
would
that function to.
make sense.
Yeah.
So
Um.
it's interesting. I feel like it would be really cool. I've always loved handheld stuff to like just be able to transport games with me.
Yeah.
I remember wanting World of Warcraft to be like portable when I was 15. Like take it to school and like or either play like MMOs and stuff like that. But I can't believe like how much like gaming's like just excelled in the last like
hmm
10 years
Oh, I'm
to the
excited
point where
for it.
now it's yeah, right?
Have you
It's
looked at those like retro handheld consoles that are like super popular now? Like everybody's making them to as emulators and stuff. Because I've been looking into that. I'm like, can I get a good like I'm looking at like an N64 portable emulator, which I got.
that would be so sick.
Like a lot of people are saying like the Vita is great for that. I've tried several of like my favorite N64 games on here. They don't perform that great. So I'm like waiting
Yeah.
for like somebody to get it down good. But I mean, this thing potentially would be if you're willing to dish out a lot of money for that, because we'll get to the
Yeah.
price soon. But this is the back of the controller. There's two uh, like buttons on the back handles on each side, so you get four additional
Yeah.
inputs on the back that you're used to in a traditional controller. But yeah, I saw the back and I'm like, all right, this does look like it would be more comfortable in the hands with how the handles are. It kind of looks similar to, I think it's Hori that makes it. They make like I think it's called the Split Pad Pro or something for the Switch, where it's like full controller size handles on a Joy-Con. It's like a big giant Joy-Con that's like a controller split in half that you put on the sides of your Switch. So that's what kind of reminds
Oh.
me of. But it's
Yeah.
like built into this thing, so it's just like all one piece now. Um, so I think, and we didn't even get into the specs or anything on this. There's three models, I think. One
I
or
think it
two.
said 7-inch screen, so I think it's almost the same size as the new Switch OLED.
Yeah, but yeah, 7 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, this is where's
Of a
Valve's
full
page for
gaming
this?
PC.
Yeah, full gaming PC.
Yeah.
FAQ. They're not listing. They're not. They're not linking anything to Valve's
Like their
website.
graph, because that's the little chip that they're using, right? I think. Was that what I saw?
Where
I had
is it, up or
uh
down?
no, I think it was on uh
Here's the dock, by the way, so you can hook up like keyboard,
uh
mouse, monitor. So you can use this as a PC. Um, basically it has. They're saying like any AAA game will run on this. Oh, IGN has the specs right here. So it's a 1280 by 800 resolution. So you're not gonna get like an 8K like huge gaming rig inside of a handheld. They're getting like
Yeah.
what's passable on a handheld for you. But it's an AMD APU featuring a 4-core 8-thread CPU. It's got 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM. Um, it's an LCD screen, so it doesn't look like it's an OLED screen. Um, so this is US pricing. Base version will cost $399. Have 6 gigabytes of storage, which I believe is
You can
EM.
upgrade if you wanted,
Yeah, well, I mean, there's an
or
SD card slot, so you can put in an SD card slot, and they're recommending like certain SD cards because they perform better. But
yeah.
CC storage or whatever that's called, which you find in like HP Stream laptops and stuff like that, garbage storage that doesn't perform very well. So that's the base version, $399. So don't get that. 64
Yeah.
gigabytes. That thing's gonna fill up fast. Never mind the performance of the drive. There's
Yeah.
there's a 529 model for 256 gigabytes. So I'd say like that would probably be the fine one. Like if you're only installing a few games and you have the SD card to worry about the other ones. And then there's 649 for the 512 gigabytes of storage with an anti-glare etched glass screen treatment. Interesting.
So they just like threw it in there
Yeah.
to like entice you to get the bigger one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the whole pricing structure is so like, well, you're going to spend a little bit more, get the better one, right?
Yeah.
And the latter two models are NVMe SSDs, so they're going to have the best performance. And a lot of people are looking at this like, in comparison to like Xbox, PlayStation, and the Switch, because this is touted as a handheld gaming device like those ones that compete, or a home console if you want. I don't look at this like that. If you are looking at it that way, these are very expensive devices,
Yeah.
which I feel like for most people, I think this is a very like niche market that they're targeting, which is interesting because I don't
Yeah.
know, I don't think there's too many people that this device is for.
Yeah, that like because again, if you have Steam, then you have a gaming PC generally, and
Generally,
and so it's like unless there are certain games like that you take. Part of me is like, where are you going that you need to take games with you?
well, I
do
think
you take transit? Are you traveling? Like,
for
because to
me,
me,
yeah, go
like,
ahead.
sorry, for me, it's like I have a transit ride of less than 10 minutes. So I never game like even on my phone and stuff like that. Like it's I'm
I
the
do
type of person
Pokemon
that when I
Go.
play games, I see I don't even do that. Like I just well, my phone just heats up and then it basically explodes in my hand.
That's
But
why I bought a new phone. I'm like, I need to play
I
Pokemon Go better, so I ended up
yeah,
buying a new phone.
I need a new phone. Anyways, but it's
Yeah.
like for me when I play games, like even um where my boyfriend works, like it's like almost an hour transit. I wouldn't even like that's still not enough time for me to play a game. But I play a lot of like adventure games and RPGs and stuff like that. But even if it was Fortnite or whatever, like I don't know how long a match is gonna go for. Like that almost gives me anxiety to like play. Like even if it was Pokemon Unite, I don't know how long
Mhm.
like or like I think they're timed, but even then that would almost give me anxiety of like, okay, I need to get this done. I need to like uh like finish this before the like for the ride's over. Like so that's where like with this, because it is these really big games that you can play, and then I wonder how the sleep mode is, because I know with the Switch it literally you just like click the off button, it just instantly goes to sleep.
Yeah.
And so I wonder how like this would react to like, shutting down. But I don't know.
Well, I'm
I'm
sure
just
this would
like,
be
we'll take
completely
it.
moddable where people can like make those kind of changes to it, because this is essentially a PC. So that it is running Steam OS, but you do have the ability to load in any operating system that you want on here. You can load Windows and play other marketplace games. So like if you want to do like Ubisoft Connect or like the Windows Store or anything like that, um, you should technically be able to. I think this is going to be more optimized running Steam OS,
Yeah.
and like the games that are designed for it. But this does open
It
up
says
hacking.
hardware not final.
Yeah,
Interesting.
however, not yeah, they could. I mean, they've made so many changes to the original Steam controller, when they were making their Steam machines.
Yeah.
So like I
Nice.
imagine that this is gonna change too. Um, but yeah, I think this just
Ooh, and
opens
a
up
case.
more. Yeah, there's case design for it. I think I want to load up their website because I think they have like a little bit more details. Um, but I think this just opens up more modding and like emulator opportunities, which I think is why most people are looking at this, because this is going to be like the most beefiest, most compatible device that you can play any sort of like. Here's the Canadian pricing right here. Middle one gives you carrying case, exclusive Steam community profile bundle, and
Oh,
then
thanks.
the higher end option gives you um, exclusive virtual keyboard theme. So yeah, those are your bonuses for that.
And then that's the little chip. Portable meets go. Yeah, it's like yeah, so that's the Steam Deck custom
Yeah.
like APU. So I was like, ooh woo.
Yeah, so we partnered with AMD to create Steam Deck's custom APU. Optimized for handheld gaming, it is a Zen 2 plus RDNA 2 powerhouse, delivering more than enough performance to run the latest AAA games in a very efficient power envelope. And like I said, you're not going to be playing like 8K 60 FPS games on this thing.
Yeah.
I think what this is more geared towards, like if I because I think everybody's looking at this and saying this is really cool, and they're at least interested in it. I'm interested in it. I think this is a
Yeah.
great idea. I think this will lead to more people trying to emulate this and like make the handheld or
Next thing
Switch
you're gonna
like.
we're gonna get phones that are this big, and they'll be like, and it's a gaming device.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean
yay!
there are huge phones where you can get controllers for and everything, and Razer does
Oh, I
make a
miss
gaming phone.
my
So
My Samsung notebook. Miss it with
I
the
think
stylus pen.
I think the
Oh,
target market for this, in my view, would be would be either console gamers. I don't even think console gamers, because like you're gonna stick with console.
I feel like
Um,
laptop people would like this. People
yep.
that have their laptops and stuff that they game on, because now if they get this instead, it basically is almost the same cost as like or it's a little bit
Eh,
cheaper than a gaming laptop, and then they again same thing, they can take it anywhere, and they can
it's
even
cheaper. Yeah.
not have this bulky thing on their lap while they're traveling and stuff,
I think
right?
Yeah, I think even just beyond the laptop, I think if you don't have any, I think if you have stuff that just doesn't play games well, or
Right? You
if
go
you
to a
have like a
party, you
crappy
don't want to
computer,
talk to people, just whip
or
this out.
you don't have a computer, like specifically a gaming computer, or even just a computer in general, and you don't have a Switch, you don't have like the new next gen consoles. You want to get into PC gaming, and the people that just want it to be easy, don't want the complicated process, and just want
Of
to check
having to
out
build a
the
computer
yeah,
too.
build a computer. They just want to have like a dedicated gaming PC that's built for it, and they like the convenience of the Switch and everything. I think this is a good starting gaming PC, because it's much cheaper than a typical
Yeah.
gaming PC. Like if you look at it, so you're looking at it like the price is expensive for like a competitive handheld or home gaming console, sure, but compared to a gaming PC, I think the pricing's fine. I think
Yeah.
if you're looking to get something and you like the idea of it being portable and you can dock it when you need it, you can plug in peripherals, you can install like Windows if you want to and use it like a regular computer, but like you're primarily looking for a gaming PC, and you don't care about 4K, like you don't have the money for a 4K monitor or like 60 FPS. You just want to get into the game and play.
Yeah.
This is a good starting gaming PC. I think
Yeah.
I think this is more worth the investment for that reason. But I think for anybody else, like if you're a dedicated, like I have an Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and my phone and all this other stuff. I don't need this. I have a gaming PC.
Yeah.
I don't need this thing at all. It's really cool, but I can't justify the
Yeah.
price when I can do all this other stuff on all the other platforms I have. Um,
If I didn't have my own computer and I wasn't into streaming the way I am,
mhm,
then like, with like I would get this. Like this would be perfect because then I could play my games, like PC games, and not have to worry about having to build this gigantic thing that takes up a whole corner of my room, and
mhm.
I can just sit on the couch and play that. Like that too is like space,
Yeah.
right? Where you wouldn't like I have a whole section of the other computer that takes up a whole section. Like this would free up space in our living room if I didn't have my computer and I only use this, say.
And if
So
I'm
it's
if I'm coming
definitely
at it from like half that perspective, where like I have the space, but I want to sit on the couch and play my game,
yeah.
I can use the Steam. I can't remember what it's called. They have the app, the Steam remote play thing or whatever. I have
Yes.
my key sheet or whatever, so I can play my PC games on my phone, remotely streaming from my PC. Where I just don't need this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still think it's cool, and I think if you are looking at like a starting gaming PC, I think this might be worth looking into. It's not available anytime soon. They're taking like pre-orders or reservations. Sorry. And I think it does cost something to reserve because it basically tells them like there's a fee. It basically tells them that you are interested and they have a better gauge of who is actually for like 100% interested in this thing and how many they need to make. Um,
Yeah.
so if you for sure want this, go reserve it if you can. I don't think there's a limit on
I don't
reservations, so
I feel like there would be.
maybe because I don't think these are in like mass production or anything. So maybe they'll just like keep. It says expected order availability Q2 2022. Um, Depending on what the state of the world is going to be in between that time, very good chance that it'll be delayed because I think the analog pocket is still not being shipped yet. Like the first
Yeah.
orders of those,
Yes. Yeah.
because I've been waiting for like hands-on impressions and reviews of that thing, but it's not happened.
What?
Um, I forgot to add something for the Switch OLED. There's an official statement from Nintendo. Um,
At
first
this
part
time.
is about
Oh,
yeah. First part about it is like profit margin, investors, and everything. Follow up tweets though says we also want to clarify that we just announced that Nintendo Switch OLED model will launch in October 2021 and have no plans for launching any other model at this time.
just like stop fucking asking us about the Pro.
I think if you think there's going to be a Switch Pro, like if there was, there's no reason why Nintendo would launch this model.
Yeah.
And and again, they're not like it's still selling like crazy. They don't need a Switch Pro.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
Because I
put
was
that time and R&D into an OLED model to
yeah.
release a new model soon after. So
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. And again, like I had said when I'd spoken to the rep, like usually companies will make like a pro version of their like consoles when the sales start to dip and the Switch is still up and up and up,
mhm.
you know? So especially during the pandemic, it was like even before the pandemic, it outsold this like, PlayStation,
Yep.
and then pandemic hit and it was like the hottest thing even afterwards and stuff, like kids not in school, like people are spending more time at home. It just became the most convenient console, you know and everyone loves Mario's and Zelda, so it's like
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
that.
That's the
So
reason why it's
yeah.
selling.
Yeah.
So if you think there's going to be a Switch Pro, if you're holding out because you don't want to get the new Switch or you don't want to get a Switch in general, and you're waiting out for a Switch Pro, you're crazy. Just
Yeah.
get whatever Switch is available now.
Just stop
Yeah.
asking.
Those are the two big topics I want to talk about today. We got like a list of other stuff, but what do you want to talk about next?
Do you want to talk about the whole Activision drama and stuff?
The
Down
reason
to put
I will.
Okay.
I am down to do that. The only reason why I did not want to talk about it today, um,
Because you feel
is
like it's going to be a whole other topic
it's an ongoing situation. There's a big walkout going on today,
today. Yes,
and
yeah,
I
I
haven't kept
shared
up
that
with what's
status.
going on. So that's
Okay.
that's why I felt like it would be best to like bring
Leave
it
it
up
for
when more.
maybe this weekend if you want. Like, just because if like it will like to kind of bring it up at a later date and just kind of like you
Mm.
know, because again, it is an
Well,
evolving
I mean,
situation.
if you want to talk about it now, we can.
Uh,
We can like extend the podcast a
let's
little.
wait because I feel like I'm just gonna be saying almost like the same stuff that I said on the Pokemon stream, and you know we've had these topics chatted about in the Discord
Mhm.
about just I think the biggest takeaway of all of this jazz is just like you know this coming to light, and a lot of females are just like yeah, not surprised. Like I don't know if you were able to actually watch like Alana's
Yeah, I
video
did. Yeah.
where and she and I was like I feel the exact same like when it comes to this, and it's almost been one of those reasons why I haven't like completely jumped into the whole market of esports or like the gaming industry to get my foot in the door and stuff is
Yeah.
because it's such like a like it's such a prevalent thing in that industry. And it's funny how Blizzard was like, "We don't know what you're talking about. We've never seen it ourselves." And it's like, dude,
Yeah. The, I mean, like we can when we get into it, we can go into their like responses and everything. I feel like that's like a whole podcast discussion.
yeah, I feel like
Um,
we should live stream that one and just to kind of like
yeah,
really
I'm
like
I'm kind of worried about what that live stream is going to be, like the
yeah
responses and everything.
and canceled.
Um, I'm just trying to find like a donation link here, because I know Felicia Day, actress. Oh yeah, okay. Well, there's like I was gonna show the actual links, but sure. Here's a blown up image of it. Just like the whole statement, like women who are just discouraged from joining the gaming industry or anything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good organizations that I know about. Some of these ones I've never heard of. But like Girls Who Code, Black Girls Code. I don't know these other ones to be honest. But these are organizations that are dedicated to get women into the tech industry or gaming. So definitely look into that if you do want to help the situation. And
Yeah.
I will say, I know we're new and everything, and this my thought process on this was kind of spurred up because another big name in the industry I follow get just got one of those typical responses. It's like I follow you for gaming news, not like political stuff and stuff like that.
Wait,
Um,
someone said that to you?
no,
Or
not
you
to me.
Oh, I
They
was like,
did
bro,
write a
do they not
response.
see your tweets?
They did they did write a
What?
response to me because I responded to them, which I can pull up because it's because I would love to put them on blast and say here's why you're a fucking idiot. Um, but yeah, here's the thing: people in entertainment, sports, and everything. Just my general thoughts. They're not your
Just like
dancing
general.
monkeys. They're
Yep.
people. They want to use their platform for the issues that they care about. Um, they're not like you can't pull a Laura Ingram and tell somebody to shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
That's I just have so many thoughts on that. Just if you don't like what they're saying, don't say shut up and talk about games. Just leave because
Yeah.
they're not making content for you. Because of what
Yeah.
they're saying makes you feel uncomfortable is your problem, not their problem. They don't have to adjust their opinions because you don't like them.
I think that's the biggest thing with the almost like the entertainment industry, and this was actually something that was brought up in the Discord community where when it came to streaming and how I had canceled it the one day because it was so hot, and this person brought up was like, oh well, people sub to you and give you bits. Like, is that not like I'm like that does not make me obligated
No,
to cater to like that. That's support. Like, so it's like when you make content like don't just be like excuse me but you shouldn't be talking about this like I'm here for you to like be making this like I support you, you need to be making the content of gaming, not make it it's like no like that's not how that works,
yeah,
you know. And I feel like a
exactly.
lot of people like if you're supporting someone in order to gain power over them then you're supporting them for the wrong reasons,
Yeah, yep,
right?
absolutely.
So
Well,
so
if we're not talking about the Activision stuff today,
this is
which is if you haven't been keeping up with it, you know what I think Kotaku's been doing a good job, like trying to like put everything out there. But just brief like overview. I don't want to go into like what's happening now and responses and everything. A brief overview. I think it was the state of California because I think that's where they're based out of. is
The-
basically suing Activision because of hostile and they called it a frat boy work culture.
Good.
Um, that's basically the summarization of what spurred all this, and there's been a whole fallout because of that, and it's still going on. So I'm sure we'll get into that in the next podcast.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about
Are we gonna live react to
Netflix?
this? Oh, Netflix.
Yeah,
I
do you
was
want?
looking at the XCOM thing.
Oh, yeah. I forgot you can still see my screen. Um, do you want to do the XCOM one?
Well, the Netflix one.
Okay,
Let's do the
okay.
Netflix one.
Actually, I haven't. I don't think I've read too far into this.
I feel like as much as Netflix has a lot of money to kind of throw around, I feel like they're not going to beat out Micro. I feel like maybe they're mad that Microsoft kind of beat them to the punch about creating this like live streaming service for video games because that's basically what the Ultimate Game Pass is,
I don't think
right?
it. Um,
And it's
it's
like
more complicated than that. But
yeah,
I don't agree with that statement.
like for Netflix, like not like for them coming out with like a gaming thing.
I think I don't. We'll talk about like what this story is, but I don't think they were jealous that they didn't think of this first or get into this first. I think they saw the trend and like, yep, we'll jump onto it.
Oh, okay, then I'm at yeah.
But basically, Netflix's gaming. This is from The Verge. Netflix's gaming expansion starts with mobile. Games will be included at no added cost with a Netflix subscription. Netflix revealed that its initial efforts in gaming will be focused on mobile games and that the games will be included with the users' Netflix subscriptions, the company announced as part of its second quarter earnings report on Tuesday. This was a while ago, though. I think this was last week, so last Tuesday.
Yeah.
The news comes just days after the company said it hired former EA and Oculus exec Mike Verdu to head up its gaming work. Here's exactly what Netflix said about gaming from its letter to investors. We're also in the early stages of further expanding into games, building on our earliest efforts around interactivity, example Black Mirror, Bandersnatch. I haven't watched anything from Black Mirror, so I'm sorry.
Oh, it's interesting. It's you should
Is that a
you of all
game? Is Black Mirror Bandersnatch a game? Or is that
yes. Okay, so this is where yeah, so yeah, Microsoft thing is different. This if they're doing it more about that game that
mm-hmm.
they came out with like I think like what 2-3 years ago, then that would be it would be it'd be really interesting to see if they make more of that because
Yeah.
basically Bandersnatch was about a guy who developed the game where it was all based on choices and you would make choices and it would change like the outcomes of games. Like
Ah,
and this is like way back in the day
cool.
but then like and that's what the main premise is about but when you're watching it it gives you the choices to either him respond or like to have cereal or to like listen to this music or that music and it changes the different trails
Okay.
of where the movie is gonna go which like is like ironic about it because it's about this guy developing a game about choices and so if they do more of that that would
Yeah.
be really interesting and I'm like that's why I was like oh it's kind of like Microsoft but if it's not going to be like other games well we'll see where it kind of goes from there but if
Yeah.
it's going to be more about the Bandersnatch then that's like really
I
interesting.
think that I think they're looking more towards their own properties because Netflix does have a lot of their own like Netflix original content, so they do own a lot
Yes.
of stuff. They do mention here Stranger Things games as well, so that's another property that they have rights to.
Yeah.
So we view gaming as another new content strategy for us, similar to our expansion into original films, animation, and unscripted TV. Games will be included in members' Netflix subscription at no additional cost, similar to films and series. Initially, we'll be primarily focused on games for mobile devices. We're excited as ever about our movies and TV series offering, and we expect a long runway of increasing investment and growth across all of our existing content categories. But since we are nearly a decade into our push into original programming, we think the time is right to learn about how our members value games. Um, I think this is a brilliant move on their part.
Yeah.
Um, so they've already been expanding into games. Like they have their Stranger Thing games and their Black Mirror games. But just looking at it, people are like, I think looking at it saying, this isn't going to take off. This isn't going to be Game Pass. This isn't going to do all this. It doesn't need to. This is going to be a
Yeah.
huge success for them. Because everybody and their mother has a Netflix subscription. And
Yes.
kids use Netflix. Like parents have Netflix on for their kids. It's a huge like kids library. So I'm just thinking of the kids aspect of this. This is going to be huge. Like I know like Black Mirror, Stranger Things, those are not kids titles.
No.
But I'm just thinking of the possibilities that this could, because they have a kids section on Netflix for movies and TVs and stuff. They're gonna absolutely do that for the games as well. And people, again, it's included in your cost. It doesn't cost anything extra. You're on Netflix. You're watching
They already
something.
got you.
You browse over to the gaming section. Oh, let's see what's available. Maybe you might check out something here or there once in a while. You're gonna gradually go over to that section more and more. And I think it's going to be popular. This is just something that they're going to say, oh, here's something extra. And then, maybe they'll have like that one hit. It's like, have you seen this game on Netflix? And people are getting a Netflix subscription for the games at that point. But yeah, I think this is going to be, whether the games are good or not, or whether like people initially use it or not. I think this is going to end up being huge for them, and they don't need to compete with the other people because they already have the user base. They already have the people using their service. So I think this is just going to be a big success for them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they take their games, because if it's not going to be like, Ultimate Game Pass or any or any of that jazz, and if it's going to be more of Black Mirror, Baldersnatch, then I wonder if they'll evolve it beyond that, but beyond just like making choices and stuff like that, or just making like games.
I think there'll be different game categories, and I think like Netflix is on so many different devices.
Because that's like, I was just thinking like I had to have it on my phone, like if I'm on break or something like that. I don't have Netflix on my phone because don't have a lot.
I removed it off my phone.
And like just to be able to like fiddle around and to play a game. But again, I don't play games on my phone, so I'm like, oh, but like this would be convenient. Yeah, I just got one game recently. I'm not gonna tell you what game it is because it's a little embarrassing, but it's like the only game that I've been able to kind of play. But even then, it's my intentions like not there. But if it's anything like Baldersnatch, like if they make it like if they evolve it from there and stuff like that, I feel like it could be really awesome. Or just like with like the kids stuff too, like for them just to be interactive and stuff. But they used to have this for, I remember distinctly, it was like Harry Potter. It was a DVD like thing that we had, and then you got to choose different things on the screen, and then
there's always been those DVD games.
Yeah, right. So I like a part. This is like I'm like, unless they can.
Well, they can do stuff like that too on the service.
Yeah, but that's where I think this is going. So,
well, I think there's going to be a lot of different.
I
think there's going to be a lot of different categories, and they said they're focusing on mobile right now because I think it's the easiest interactive option with your touchscreen devices, with your phone, your tablets, because that's just you don't need any additional inputs from there. But Netflix is on other things. It's on smart TVs, it's on game consoles, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say, hey, you have these devices. You might have a controller or keyboard and mouse hooked up to them. So maybe we'll make this service available to those other platforms that you might have Netflix on, and then you have another gaming platform. And again, you don't have a high-end gaming PC. This could be like Stadia or something else. You just want to play like these exclusive Netflix games or whatever. They're just streaming, so it's not going to be anything like any additional strain on your computer. And then maybe they will be like Stadia, where they'll say, we designed a specific controller for Netflix games, and maybe we'll bundle that with the new smart TV that you're buying, and then you can play Netflix games right off your new smart TV. So
That would, yeah,
I'm just looking at the potential like that because
yeah,
there's other people that are already doing this, but you attach Netflix to it with their big properties like Black Mirror, Stranger Things, all their kids
yeah,
stuff. Um, man, I can see like the Pokemon because Nintendo's more open to like having their licensing their IP and everything. I could see like the Pokemon company teaming up with Netflix because Pokemon's so huge on Netflix.
yeah.
Where they,
Hell yeah.
you want the new Pokemon game that's like it's not like a Switch game or whatever. It's like something to do with the animated series because like maybe Netflix is gonna like design something based around the animated series because the Pokemon company's not gonna make a game based on the animated series.
Yeah. It'll
um, but like maybe it'll be like it's exclusive to Netflix, and then you can play it bundled with your TV purchase or whatever, and you get the controller with it. The special Pikachu controller. I don't know.
yeah. I'm just like trying to I'm just like I can't get over like the Bender Snatch like I'm just like but if they become every other like video game like but again I don't have Stadia either to know like how that works because
Can
I'm
I
assuming
can I
it's just
say
the same
something about
thing.
that?
What?
Because every time I bring up Stadia, everybody's responses to me that just don't know about it
Yeah.
just say I don't have Stadia. Because then I'll mention something like, oh, this is on sale on Stadia, or somebody says I don't have a PC. Well, it's on Stadia. I don't have Stadia.
They're
Um,
like what is it?
Stadia is a streaming service.
But
So
with just games.
yeah, with games, but
Yeah.
you can access it from anything. So it's available on PC, smartphones, smart TVs, Google TVs. Um, so I have like you don't need a high-end PC to play AAA games off Stadia. That's the whole purpose of it. Is that you stream it off their servers, um, and you can use your own existing controllers or their Stadia controller. So I just think it's funny because somebody mentions like I want to get it, but my PC can't handle it. And I'm like, well, it's currently on sale on Stadia right now. And then somebody says I don't have Stadia. Like, well, you do because you just said you have a PC. So
Because
I
you
just
can
find that funny.
like I can play Stadia stuff like on like if I but don't have to pay for it like every month, right?
Well, they have their pro subscription. They give you like a big
Okay.
list of games like every month. Probably not games that you want, but sometimes they'll throw in something. You have to keep your subscription in order to keep playing those games, though.
Yeah.
But you can purchase games like you would any other platform. So, like they were doing like a $10 coupon or something one time, and it was expiring soon. I'm like, I have to buy something, otherwise I lose the $10.
I remember you asking,
Yeah.
and I think it was
So
like
yeah, so I ended up buying a game. So like the games I own, and there's a couple free ones too. There's Destiny 2, um, I can't Krata, I think, which is kind of like it's like a make your own game kind of thing. And then
okay.
Bomberman is another free one, Bomberman Live. So there's a few free ones like if you want to test out the service, and there's some like demos. I think you play a demo for that Ubisoft game. Used to be called Gods and Monsters. I can't. Oh, Immortals Phoenix Rising. There's a demo for
Oh
that.
yes.
So if you want to like test out the service, see how your internet is and everything. But yeah, like whatever like games that you buy on the service, or if you have the pro subscription, just you play the games on the subscription. Then yeah, you can play those on. So I could play them on my phone. I could play them on my PC, my tablet. They were doing a YouTube Premium subscribers. They were just giving away
I
a
missed
Stadia
that.
bundle. Yeah. So I
So
have
mad.
I have the Chromecast Ultra with the Stadia Pro controller. So I have that on my TV, so I can play Stadia on my TV.
That's
They've
what I thought it
replaced
was. That it was just like a Chromecast device, but with a controller.
that's the
Like,
I think that's the ideal way, like the optimal way they expect people to use that service.
yeah.
You don't have to though. Like you don't need a Chromecast if you want to play on your PC. You just play on your PC. Um, so like for me, like if I was playing Destiny, like I own Destiny on Xbox, or like I bought before it went free. I think it's free everywhere now. Before it went free, I bought it Destiny on my Xbox. I'm not a big Destiny guy, so I don't like. I don't
Yeah.
really enjoy the game. But like if I want to load it up and play it, it's a huge download. There's all these updates or whatever.
Yeah.
It's much easier for me to play on Stadia because I just load it up. There's no downloads or updates or anything that I need. It's just instant play. So like those types of games I think would be better suited for Stadia. Um, but if like Netflix is going that route with their own titles,
Yeah.
where like you can just access the service anywhere. I think that
It's
would
like
be
it's so funny because a part of me just like I'm like it's not going to be good, but then a part of me is like, but all their Netflix originals are great, or
like
like most of them.
look,
Like
the games
I'm
might
like yeah,
suck. The games might suck. I'm being completely honest.
yeah,
The games
yeah,
might not be good. I still think though it would be successful for them, even if the games are
yeah.
terrible.
It's just gonna get more people to sign up and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Because
So
people are going to be like, oh, look, movies, TV. I don't want to watch anything. Let's check out this game section.
yeah,
It's right there. It's included with your subscription.
yeah,
I think Google should look at this. That this strategy that Netflix has
yeah,
because they're Google. Like
yeah.
they
Google,
have
what
they
are
have
you
all these
doing?
other subscription services, and so they have Stadia. They have Play Pass, which is their Google Play subscription, which I don't think a lot of people know about. Um, and then they have like YouTube Premium and like all these other stuff. For me, like I'm sort of conflicted. Not really, but I currently have two Google subscriptions. One's YouTube Premium, which I didn't even want. I had like a trial, whatever. I find I'm
Yeah,
using that all the time. The other one's Stadia. I also got a free trial for that. Rarely use it. The Stadia Pro subscription. I'll
yeah,
claim the free games or whatever. Um, so I'm looking at it. I'm like, which one of these two am I going to cancel? It's going to be Stadia. I feel
yeah,
like they should bundle Stadia Pro with YouTube Premium.
yeah. Because like, why not?
I feel like that just makes more sense. Like I'd probably be, I don't know, into playing more Stadia with if I had a YouTube Premium subscription because I'm going to keep the YouTube Premium subscription. I find it useful.
Yeah,
I don't like Stadia. Maybe there's a. I think actually I think they might be adding. I don't know if this is true. I think I saw a promo image on social media. They might be adding the Avengers game to Stadia Pro. So like I might just claim that,
keep it for that. Yeah,
but I already own it on Xbox, so it's like
yeah. You and your free games, but yeah, I feel it's like if they're not gonna like charge any extra, like it'll be interesting to see what Netflix comes out with for sure.
Mhm.
So
And
yeah,
also like I don't get how I guess yeah, Netflix just makes a profit off their subscriptions, right? There's no ads or anything. I don't think they've
no,
added ads, right?
no, I hope they don't. Knock on
I could
wood.
see them doing that because I think Hulu did that at one point. They did a subscription service and like, oh, we're still going to include ads with our
Yeah,
subscription.
I mean like Amazon has that,
Yeah,
but it's
they did.
not annoying. Like where it's like skip. I'm like yes, thanks
Yeah,
for
but
giving me.
the thing is, like, do you think they're gonna add that to the games? Because I'm assuming they're going to have their own gaming division. They're gonna have to have more people hired to work on these games and everything, and then have the servers and everything to maintain it all. And they're not increasing the price of the subscription service. Like they didn't say they're increasing it. They're saying it's going to be included in the cost. So they might increase it, but so far it doesn't look like they are increasing it.
Yeah, I
So
mean I don't
is
pay for mine, so
yeah. So the I think like if they're intending for like the games to bring in more people to the service, like if they think that that's the selling point, which I don't think it is, not initially.
no,
I
yeah,
think I think people, I think they'll like gravitate towards the games, um, you know, gradually, and then maybe people will start subscribing for the games, but it doesn't look like there's additional profit to this. So they might be losing out on it. So it might be like a long-term situation where they benefit in the long run. Um,
yeah.
but so it's interesting. I don't know how that works for them.
Yeah, I don't know any logistics or the
Yeah.
back end of how that company makes money without ads, aside from just subscriptions. But
If they're looking at user base though, like and people actually using the service, I think that's going to work out for them. I just don't know how
yeah,
like it'll be profitable,
right.
but
It's
I'm not the money
interesting.
guy, so I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Do you want to talk about this XCon thing or no?
No, I
Okay.
feel like what? It's almost 4. I gotta
Yeah, we
eat.
already went past our hour, so that is going to be the end of our. I think this is our second episode.
Right?
We
Was I? I don't think I was in the first one. Was I?
uh no you were it was me, you, and Matt. We were in the
Oh
first one.
yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
My haha. Hello.
we did the
Like
uh but yeah, we have our first episode up. We are on audio podcasts now, so we are. I don't think we're on Apple, but we are on Google, like Google Podcasts, and um let me pull it up.
where are we?
I'll show the
Oh, look
screen.
at that.
Oh. Yeah, so if you go to our Linktree link, which is down at the bottom left corner of the screen, or you go to thespawntrap.com, these are all of our links right here. So for our live stream reactions, we do those on Twitch. They do get uploaded to YouTube later. Speaking of YouTube, you can watch these as video podcasts on our YouTube if you're listening as an audio podcast. And we'll have more videos up on YouTube and everything later. But if you want to catch our E3 live reactions or video podcasts, they are available on our YouTube. So if I click this podcast link, which is the first one there, so where to listen? So I don't even know what some of these services are, but we are there. So we are on Spotify, we are on Google Podcasts, which is the one I use, Pocket Casts, Radio Public. There's an RSS feed if you want to copy the RSS feed. Breaker. The only one I am surprised is not on there, which I'll have to look into, is Apple. So I don't know why we're not on Apple. But you can get Spotify on Apple devices, so maybe listen to us on Spotify.
Nice. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I don't have Spotify because it just seems really complicated
Spotify?
having to pay for music. Yeah. And like I remember it's a whole thing to get into, but it was just like me trying to listen to stuff and then because Spotify used to be free
It is
and
free.
then it
Yeah,
used to be Songza and then
I
yeah,
think I
for
think
the
the
like I
podcast part of Spotify is still free,
so free.
and you can
I
still
know
use the
you
service for free, but there's ads.
Oh, I don't know. The last time I tried to listen to a podcast on Spotify, it was like sign up, pay this, and I'm like, no.
Oh, maybe it's not free. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I have
that's
the
why
premium
Anchor
version.
is like the other side of it. So I
Yes.
listen to all
So
my
we
podcasts
are on
through.
Anchor. Sorry, that's the main site here. So you can listen on Anchor.
Yeah.
But that is the end for this episode. Court, where can people find you, and do you want to plug in anything?
You can always find me on my Twitch channel primarily, which is twitch.tv/courtftw, and or the Streamers Unknown website, which is streamersunknown.com. Currently under construction again because of a bunch of stuff. I recently posted a new article, but I have to figure out my website situation. So don't go there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, and then you can find me on any other social media platforms like Instagram and or Twitter. And it's just like CourtFTW. So yeah.
And I am at Till Plays everywhere. I will do a little bit of promotion just because, as Court said, me and my free games. I do keep track of game deals and free games that you can get. I've been making a video series on my personal YouTube channel at Till Plays, just recapping free games you can play every weekend. I do have a game deals Discord, which is tillplays.com/deals, and it's not getting as much attention as it did during the start of the pandemic. And I would like to automate that Discord a little bit more. So if you want to help and participate in good game deals you see or anything, free to sign up. There's an opt-in alert, so if you want to be alerted for free games, there's a bot that does that for you. They'll say, "Hey, this game's free."
That's cool.
Yeah, so you can know about free stuff as it happens. And look forward to our next podcast, which is sure to be heavy,
Yeah.
with a lot of important stuff in the news, and we'll get into that If you have any topic or suggestions, let us know in the comments. I would like to know what you think, and if you like these podcasts. And hopefully we'll get some of our other hosts in for the next one as well.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.